As previously mentioned, I am Jimmy, and I do set up and organise these nights, which I shamelessly bill myself on every month. So sorry to any of the regulars if you're getting bored of this face, but I need the practice, which will become evident to the rest of you later. I was even meant to bring my notes on stage, but I've forgotten, and they're all the way over there. But I'm going to try and not use them. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Monopoly. Right, Monopoly. They've invented a new Monopoly game for millennials, right? It's exactly the same as the original, but you can't buy any properties, you just rent as you go round. And once you get to free parking, you just pay your congestion charge and go straight back to go. And that's because half the board is owned by Russian oligarchs. There's no cash anymore, it's all contactless. The train stations take oysters, and they're also subsidised by the other players and still run by Southeastern. They've gotten rid of all the chance cards in the game, and they've replaced them with referendums. Every community chest is another bank bailout or a short-term loan from Wonga.com. So nobody ever really wins the game, you know, it's just about who loses least. You know. It's not even a board anymore, it's just an app. It's not really a game, it's life. Right, so that's the end of the social commentary part of the section. I'm now going to smoothly segue into my one-liner bit. Have you noticed about life, right? What I've noticed is that if anybody tells you that they're 100% certain of anything, they're probably either lying to you, talking out their arse, or trying to sell you something. I'm 100% certain of that. I've also found out in my life that I'm a perfectionist. You know, well, I'm a perfectionist when I'm not lazy, you know, and I can be arsed. And I don't have any excuses. I'm a perfectionist in the perfect conditions, is what I'm trying to say. Right, now for another one-liner. Has anybody noticed how Theresa May looks like all three of Macbeth's witches? Double, toil and Brexit. Right, now for the last joke of the section. Isn't it creepy when you see old white men coming out of strip clubs? Especially when it's your uncle, followed by your dad, who comes out with your cousin, who works there, and that's how you find out about the family business? My childhood was terrible. Right, that's the end of that section. It's gone, it's past, it's dead. It's as dead as my neighbour's dog in my back garden. That's the risky one. Okay. Now time for some observational humour. I've noticed that Facebook have installed a mark yourself safe button in the result of a terrorist attack. You know, you tell your friends and family you're safe. I think that's a great idea. You know, I think it's really helpful. But sometimes I get notifications on my phone, people marking themselves as safe, and I just think, oh, that guy? He's safe? I don't want him to die or anything, you know, but like, it kind of ruins my day, you know. So what I usually end up doing is I click the "it does not apply to me" button. Even though I live in London, it probably does. So I just get a lot of texts from people saying, Jimmy, are you okay? Is everything all right? Where are you? Are you all right? And I always reply to those people, no, I'm dead. At which point I get a text back going, Jimmy, that wasn't funny. Seriously, where are you? And that's when I stop replying. But don't you just hate it when someone like in Aberdeen marks himself safe and the terrorist attack was in London? You know, I mean, I understand wanting attention. You know, I'm a comedian, but it's just a bit sick, really. Anyway, the reason I don't like people marking themselves as safe on my Facebook is because there's a lot of people on my Facebook I don't like. You know. Other people, when they see their mates like spout racist, homophobic, xenophobic shit, they just unfriend them. No, I don't. I keep them on my friends list because I need to know what these people are doing. I need to keep tabs on them just so I can avoid them. But what I usually end up doing is I get into comment wars with these guys, right? And sometimes it's over some sexist bullshit or some joke they've made. But other times it can be over absolutely nothing. They've just made a status like, you know what, I really don't like Baby Bell. And then I'm in the comment box going, you fucking racist. So I do that over and over again until they unfriend me, and I just find that far more satisfying. I got into this one argument with this guy, and these are real people, remember. I'm not just abusing randomers online. I know these people. I'm not an internet troll, I'm just fucking sad. And I got into this argument with this one guy, right, who I knew from when I grew up in Spain, right? So mark that down for later, it will be used. And he ended up moving back to Aberdeen in Scotland because he was Scottish. And while he was there, he got these progressively more nationalistic views, right? And I saw this progression over Facebook. But it wasn't nationalistic for like an independent Scotland like you would have thought, It was very pro-United Kingdom, he was a bit of a unionist. And he got very nationalistic about it. He got so nationalistic, in fact, that he decided to get a tattoo, which he posted to Facebook, right? And he got this tattoo here on his chest, and it was of an eagle holding up a wavy Union Jack, right? Now, this wasn't any old eagle. This was the rightward-facing, straight-winged, black silhouetted eagle of the Third Reich. That one. You usually see it holding up a swastika and reads, So he gets this tattoo and he posts it to Facebook with the caption, "Finally gone and done it." Really pleased with the result. Right? Dollar emoji, cool guy emoji. Hashtag loving life, hashtag tattoos. And so that's when the comments start rolling in, right? And regardless of the Nazi symbolism, right, this was a shit tattoo. I mean, he'd obviously not spent a lot of money on it. The Union Jack looked like some kid experimenting in art class. It was horrible. It wasn't pretty to look at. So these comments start rolling in anyway, right? And the first one is from a mate of his, who quite diplomatically, I might add, says, Liam, I think you've got the Imperial Eagle there, tattooed on your chest. At which point Liam furiously replies, no, the eagle was used way before the Nazis. It was used by the English and by the Romans, and in today's society, it's even being used by the fashion label Boy. So you should go and research your facts before you start getting into other people's business, mate. Right? So what I decided to do was I decided to research some facts, right? So first, I looked at the English one, and to my surprise, we did use eagles way back when. Right, on things called heralds, we use them to scare our enemy and all that bullcrap. But these were like fantastic, mythical, eagle-like creatures who had like 2 heads, long necks, teeth, horrible-looking things. Right, so I find a picture of this and I post it onto his Facebook comments, and I just say, "Does it look like this, Liam? Is this the kind of depiction of an eagle you're talking about?" And I get no reply. Right. So I do a little bit more research. I look into the Roman one, right, and I find out that it does look quite like the Imperial Eagle, right? Apart from it's gold, a bit more detailed. But that's only because Hitler nicked it from the Romans in the first place. And let us not forget that the Romans themselves aren't the nicest of bunch. Right? I mean, we all know what they did to poor Russell Crowe, right? So I post a picture of this and I say the same thing, or does it maybe look like this one, Liam? Is this the eagle you're talking about that your tattoo so depicts? Still no reply. So I do a bit more research, I find the Boy one, and to my surprise it does look like the Imperial Eagle, but they've done a little bit extra, they've put a little bit of Native American flair onto it. They've added feathers, right? And to my surprise, I also find out that it's actually a controversial topic to begin with. So I post that picture with a bunch of information, and I say, does it maybe look like this eagle? Is this eagle you're talking about? Still no reply. So I post all three up, and I say, is it any of these, Liam? Is it any of these? Or maybe, is it this? Right? And I post the largest picture of the imperial eagle I can find, holding up a swastika, and I do a side-by-side comparison, and it was uncanny. It was undeniable at that point. This man had accidentally got a Nazi tattoo. At which point he does reply, right? And he goes, Jimmy, you fucking middle-class wanker. with your researched opinions. You're just some left-wing cunt who's always got something to say, dickhead, right? And I just replied, no, Liam, look, I don't actually think you're a neo-Nazi. No, I just think that is the dumbest decision you've ever made, right? And you should probably do a bit of research before you start sticking your nose into Hitler's business. And I say, furthermore, even, I go, how can you be so nationalistic? Really? I mean, you grew up in Spain, right? See, I brought that back. You grew up in Spain, right? You have felt the benefits of migration, and yet you're against immigrants. And he just replies, yeah, well, I don't live there now, do I? And then he deletes the entire conversation off of Facebook and unfriends me. Result. The thing I don't get is this guy genuinely wasn't a neo-Nazi, right? He was just too dumb to make that leap. He was just some Britain first arsehole. Oh, whatever. Right, I'm going to leave you on one last joke. Bit of a moral telling. People are afraid to admit they're wrong, right? Because if they're wrong about one thing, then they might be wrong about everything. And that wouldn't be good, would it? But you know when you're on the wrong side of an argument and you just see your entire worldview crash before your eyes? And you desperately tried to rebuild it with a bunch of but, ifs, and, but maybe this. But it's too late. You've got yourself in this corner, mixing opinion with fact. And now your high horse has jumped off its plinth and is descending into the darkness with everything that made you credible. See, now an arsehole in this situation will huff and puff and get really angry and even more frustrated with you. He might even unfriend you on Facebook. But a decent person like you or me would just go, yeah, you might be right there. Yeah, I was wrong. Right, that's everything from me. End on a non-ending. Comedy 101. I'm going to welcome back Eve Dalton.